I'm Dorian.
I'm Zeke.
And we are usually the hosts of Random People talking about random things.
But today we have a very special guest for a very special week.
This is our principal, Mr. Hall.
Greetings, everybody. I'm so excited to be on your podcast today. My name is LeRoy Hall. I'm the proud principal of Henry H. Houston Elementary School. This is my 10th year of the principal of this beautiful school in this beautiful community.
We're going to start off asking you just some questions about you, because not a lot of people know about that. They just think of you as the principal of Houston.
So, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food is actually spaghetti.
Do you have a specific place that you like to go for spaghetti?
Yes, and it is called my house. No, all jokes aside. My favorite spaghetti chef, I guess, would be my wife, LeRoy Hall. And it all started from my grandmother. My grandmother, when I was young, used to make really good spaghetti. And I liked spaghetti everywhere I went. You know, school lunch, I liked their spaghetti. My grandma made really good spaghetti. And then my older sister made good spaghetti. And now my wife makes really good spaghetti. So that's the best place. Now, outside of there, Olive Garden has some pretty good spaghetti.
And do you have a favorite animal?
I do have a favorite animal. Now, are we thinking like domestic animals or like wild animal?
Any kind.
Wild animal, my favorite animal is the lion. Because I think they're so cool and they represent just cool stuff. At home, I'm a cat person, although I do have a dog. I have 2 cats because I'm more of a cat person than a dog person.
I have 2 cats, and Zeke, you have
4.
You have 4 cats?
Yeah.
And a
That is
dog.
Cool. So you all are cat people too.
Yes.
We are in the cat.
I'm more of a dog person, but my mom went crazy.
There you go. That works too.
What are your pets' names?
Okay, so we have 2 cats. You have Simba, and you guessed it, Nyla. So you have Simba and Nyla. Those are our 2 cats. Then we have a Shih Tzu, little doggy, and her name is Zuzu.
Those are cute names.
Absolutely.
Why did you become a principal?
Okay, that's a great question. I became a principal because I wanted to impact more kids than you can in the classroom. You get into teaching because you want to help kids, right? And then you help kids. So you have a class of 25, 30 kids, and you help kids. Then you start realizing like, hey, I think I'm, strong enough to help kids on my floor. So you start becoming like a teacher leader, directing programs, or you're doing some after school stuff. You're not only like mastering your classroom, but you're also like living outside your classroom and kind of like helping contribute to the school that way. Then eventually you start realizing like, hey, if I can help this whole floor and help my class, maybe I can help the whole school. That's what made me go to school to be a principal, is I wanted to help as many kids as possible. So I knew that getting a principal certification would help me have more impact on students than just my 25 kids in my homeroom or the 50 kids on my roster.
What grades have you taught?
When I was a teacher, I taught 4th through 8th grade, mainly mathematics, but I did teach social studies and I taught science as well. But every year I taught math. The question was, did I teach something in addition to math? So math is my favorite subject to teach.
How did you become a principal?
There's very rarely, in Pennsylvania anyway, people go straight from teacher to principal. There's always something in between, like preparing you for the job. So first I was a teacher for 8 years in Pittsburgh. Then I moved from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia with my family. For 1 year, I was a test coordinator. So I was the person who was in charge of PSSA testing for my whole school and all this other stuff. Then the next year after that, my second year being in Philadelphia, or right outside Philly, I became assistant principal. And I was assistant principal for 2 years. And that's where you get to learn the ropes, but I wasn't the one in charge. And then I became principal.
How long did it take you to learn how to be a principal from being a teacher?
I went to University of Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for my graduate degree, and it takes about 2 to 3 years to finish that master's degree in educational leadership.
What does a normal day as a principal look like?
A normal day from the beginning of the day is like helping with admissions, like being outside, making sure people are doing the right thing and coming in safely and, greeting all the students. Then I come in and I do morning announcements. Then after that, I take some time to try to check some email. Then I start going to the classrooms and checking in with the students and see how the teaching and learning is going. Then I have to have certain meetings like Zoom meetings and Google Meet meetings and meetings you've probably seen your parents and family members in and your teachers maybe even in. And I have those throughout the day. I also go to lunchrooms sometimes and try to hang out with the kids and get to talk to them and sometimes throw the football and catch the football and jump in double dutch if they're playing that, just to make sure that I have a chance to talk to kids on their downtime, not just when they're like answering questions in the classroom.
Do you like being a principal?
Nah. No, just kidding, of course. No, I love it. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it still puts me in a position where I interact with people because I'm a people person. It still puts me in a position where I can have an impact on student learning. And I like to see people get smarter and smarter and smarter. And I also like to be in a position where I can see people like have an idea of what their dream is and get a little closer to it.
Is there any part of being a principal that is sometimes boring or you don't like?
Something that I don't like is there seems to be a lot of meetings outside of the building, and that I don't like because, as some of the adult listeners know, sometimes adults have meetings about meetings. So sometimes we have meetings just to meet, and it's just like, we just talked about this, or I just read this in an email. I don't think I have to be in person for you to say the same thing that I've already read on the email. Does that make sense? Yeah. And sometimes we'll have meetings like that, and I'm like, why am I here? I'd rather be with my kids at Houston Elementary.
Do you have any hobbies out of school?
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite hobby is spending time with my family. My second personal favorite hobby is basketball. I like to play basketball, and I like to play PS5 games. My favorite PS5 games are 2K25. You guys might be shocked, but my actual favorite game right now is 2K25 Golf. I don't know if you ever played it. It has Tiger Woods on the cover. It's so cool. And the last one I play all the time, but I haven't been really playing it now, is John Madden football.
I thought you were about to say Fortnite.
No, my kids play Fortnite. They play Roblox. They like Fortnite a lot, though.
I play Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft.
So if there is a student that is pursuing a job like a teacher or a principal, do you have any advice to give them?
Yes, I think that my advice for anyone who thinks they want to be in the field of education is to do something now that gets you closer to that goal, but then also gives you the experience to see if you really like it. And this is what I mean. You might want to be a camp counselor, something like that, where you're in charge of kids. You could be a lead camp counselor. These are a lot of things I did. You can, when I was in 11th grade in high school, I was part of a scholars program, and they gave us our internships. And I started in 11th grade. I was tutoring elementary school kids. So it gave me a chance to see if I really like this, because some people think they like to be a teacher and they don't like dealing with the other side of teaching, which is you still have to manage behavior. You have to keep kids engaged. Everybody's not always smiling and laughing and giggling. Some kids come in and they're tired. There's a lot of elements of teaching that people don't think of until they get some experience in the field. And I think when you're a camp counselor, when you're a tutor, when you're a classroom aide, when you're volunteering at your dad's camp and you're helping out, serve the kids in the lunch line or something like that, there's ways to see if you want to do this thing of serving kids. And if you do those other jobs, it'll give you some experience to see if you really like it.
I have sort of an example, like when I wanted to become a YouTuber, I was like, yes, this is going to be so great. And I still think it's more great than bad, but editing is a nightmare.
That parallels perfectly with my example. Is from the outside looking in, you think teaching is, some people just think teaching is just smiling kids that all listen and that they don't realize you have to lesson plan, like how you guys have to do edits. You have to lesson plan. You have to strategically set up your room. You got to call parents sometimes after hours. There's all this work that goes into teaching, just like being a podcaster or a YouTuber, that people don't realize. So when you get in the field and start getting engaged in those activities, you start seeing like, is this something you want to do for a long period of time? Or if it's just like a seasonal thing and you're like, I'm kind of not, this is not my thing.
Earlier you brought up the PSSA. We can't really talk about it, but it's a complicated test.
I think we can talk about what the PSSAs are. I think we can't talk about
specific
at all,
problems,
like what we're doing in it.
That is correct.
Or like our specific problems. So
yes.
Yeah.
It's a big complicated test that kids in Pennsylvania have to do starting in 3rd grade. And I think the school district does it to see like how kids are doing and if schools need more funding or that kind of thing.
100%. Yeah, I think that's a good
Right.
interpretation. Yeah. So a standardized test like the PSSA is basically a national modeled test that pretty much lets teachers, parents, and supervisors and principals and everybody else know where are your kids when it comes to the topics of mathematics. How are they doing when it comes to the topics of ELA? If you're in 5th grade or 8th grade this year at Houston, they would be testing you on your science knowledge. So it just gives us an idea of where you're at in some of those developing skills as you get older, whether it's, understanding comprehension and reading something and understanding how to answer the question because you've comprehended well, or that's doing a math equation and it's showing that you know how to do certain steps for, some algebra, stuff like that. In 2022-23, which is the year before last, we had the highest increased PSSA proficiency in the city of Philadelphia. So if you didn't know that, we had the highest growth in math scores 2 years ago in the city of Philadelphia, just so you know.
And I don't know if we mentioned this, but currently we are doing the PSSAs.
That's correct. Yeah. One more day for Zeke and Dorian for math. Tell me, what is a great thing about Houston that you think we should continue to do?
I think the green team is like a really nice idea. It's basically like a recycling program.
Yeah, green team. So what's your answer, Dorian?
What I wanted to say was the Houston story. I don't think we've had it lately as much, but I really like it, and I think it's a good thing. I have a lot of fun with some things there.
Oh, I like that. The Houston store is our school store where students can use their earned Houston bucks and purchase items with their Houston bucks.
What is something you like about Houston and something you want to do with Houston in the future?
So one thing I like about Houston is the hidden talents of our kids. For instance, this podcast, I think it's so cool. Or even watching the musical, seeing so many kids that usually are pretty low key, in the hallway, they're just quietly walking with their hall pass up there, singing their hearts out and acting their hearts out. And you never even knew that they had those talents, but because there is an opportunity to show their talents, they show them, which I think is really cool. And what was the other question? Oh, in the future. I think one big thing we're working on now is getting algebra as a course at this school for next year. So next year we plan on being able to offer algebra to our students.
What do you think the school's going to be like when we're in 8th grade?
Well, hopefully we continue to bring things to our school and present different opportunities that students from our school want and our community members want. So that's one thing we want to continue to see. And I think just continue to build out our outdoor classrooms. I really want us to spend more time outside. And I think our community wants us to spend more time outside. So just continue to invest in our outdoor classrooms and spend more time out there and do fun stuff like that.
I think that wraps it up.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Hall, for coming. And
Very welcome to both of you.
if you do check out our YouTube channel, Thursday is my birthday, actually,
Hey,
May
happy
1st.
birthday.
So if we could get happy birthday Zeke down in the comments, that would be great.
We don't
There you
have
go.
comments.
Oh, right.
Random people talking about random things. That's such a cool name.
Thank you, Mr. Hall, for letting us interview you and giving us your time. And this is Random People talking about random things, signing off.